Hey gang, it's Corey with YARC West. Welcome back in. If this is the first time you're checking out the channel, hopefully you'll stick around. In today's video, we're going to focus on one of the two biggest issues with the MN222 from MN Model. But before we jump into that, two things I need to mention from the previous video. First, I said it was a 55 kilogram servo. I misspoke. It's actually a 55 gram servo, which is significantly different. Second, I called this a weird alien horn, but I had noticed this is actually half of the MN Model logo, which is quite clever actually. I'll give them credit for that. However, I still hate it and don't think it should be on there. All right, now to the ESC. Now I'm calling this a fix and not an upgrade because that ESC should not have been in there. I'm not actually convinced it's a crawler ESC. I'm super curious what would happen if I put that in a buggy, if it would perform well, apart from the sound. So as I see it, you have three options to correct the ESC. You can throw in a 1060, a Hobbywing 1060, or an off-brand version, probably cheaper. It's 25 bucks, a Hobbywing. You could throw in a Hobbywing 1080, which I would recommend. This has like, I don't know, I think 14, 15 settings, which you'll need a programming card for. So definitely make sure you have one of those if you go with the 1080. It's a little more expensive than the 1060, and I would not recommend a knockoff version of the 1080 or a rebranded version, even if one exists. You could probably get away with the 1060, that's fine. You could also go with a Hobbywing QUICRUN Fusion. This will change out the motor and the ESC, and it will give you FOC, which is nice brushless technology. For the purposes of this video, we're going to test stock 1060, 1080, see which one performs the best. All right, let's jump into it. All right, so just as a quick reminder, we'll have a look at what the slow crawl looks like with this ESC, this 120 amp ESC. So one thing you'll notice is with the body off, it is definitely not as loud it is with the body on. But the slow crawl still leaves a little bit to be desired. So we're going to test some options. All right, so let's pop this ESC out and we'll put in the 1060 and see how well it does. All right, I have the 1060 just sitting in there. One of the pros about the 1060 versus the 1080 is, like I said, you can find the Hobbywing version for 25. You can probably find an off-brand for cheaper. Your on-off button is very similar. If you wanted, you can probably stick it back in the same place. I don't think that's a good place to put it. I would probably put it someplace else up here. But first, let's just listen to the sound. Can you even hear the ESC? So much quieter. My issue with the 1060s, slow crawl is good once you get moving. Getting to slow crawl, there's like a little hiccup, a little hitch. So we'll test it on this. So that's much, much better. It still gets resistance. It still stops when it hits that obstacle, but when I give it a little more, I'm not flying past it. I'm able to put the center of the tire onto the center of the obstacle, which is what you want. That's significantly better, and this is $25 max US. All right, so let's see how the 1080 does. All right, the Hobbywing 1080 is installed. It's just sitting there. It's not taped down or anything like that. I'll give you two cons about the Hobbywing 1080. It's more expensive than the 1060, and it comes stock with an XT60 connector. So if you wanted to use the battery it comes with, which is a T connector or Dean's connector, you'll need to solder your own connection here. Things that outweigh those cons: slow crawl is amazing, it's programmable. It has something like 16 different settings with a program card, which, caveat, you'll need a program card if you want to change the settings. It comes stock pretty good. All right, so we'll test this one out here. Let's listen to the sound of the ESC. You can't even hear it. All right, so one of the things I said about the 1060 that I don't like, or it's a drawback of it, is to get to slow crawl, you kind of lurch forward a little bit. There's a little hitch to it. But with the 1080, there is no such problem. See, you go straight into it. See how easy it is for me with the 1060 and the 1080, how easy it is to get into the center of the obstacle. No sound. So the choice is yours to make. What do you want to do? The ESC it comes with is totally unacceptable, but it's an easy fix. It's inexpensive. If you've never swapped out an ESC before, it's super simple. You just pull these bullet plugs out. You take the bullet plugs of the new ESC and you pop them in. You hook up your 3-pin into channel 2 of the receiver and you're good to go. So what would I recommend? If you have a 1060 laying around, use that. If you want better performance, programmability, because you can't program a drag brake in a lot of the BEC cutoff. The 16 options that are offered in the 1080 are not offered in the 1060. So you're limited in what you can and cannot do with the 1060. If you're really concerned about price, just go with the 1060. Sometime later you can upgrade to the 1080 if you want. The reason why I recommend Hobbywing products is because I've used them. I know what I'm getting. I know they work. And if I recommend them, the chances of you coming back to the channel and saying you recommended me garbage, how could you, are incredibly low, because I know what I'm recommending with a Hobbywing product. All right, so next time you see this on the channel, might just be a random trail run footage, but we're gonna fix the problem with the suspension there. We're gonna have to go 3-link with a panhard bar to fix that issue here. Then we'll see if we can get this winch in here. It looks like this whole piece is gonna have to be cut out right there, because it's just not gonna fit. And then scale shocks. Filling these with oil probably be sufficient, but I'm assuming if you buy this, you buy it because of the scale look, so why not go with scale shocks, right? All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.